What is up, YouTube? Hudson here. We're day 19 monk mode. I'm about to chow down on some dinner I just made. Got homemade Brussels sprouts, ham, bacon, and rice. But before I do that and then go on a short walk, meditate, and hit the hay, I do want to talk a little bit about a book that I read today that was super impactful to my life. I'd say top 5 books I've ever read. I actually listened to this one. It was 4.5 hours long on an audiobook. So I just listened to it while I was doing some landscaping today. But man, this book hit hard. It is actually called Pound the Stone by Cal Newport. And the book really has a lot of allegories and stories, but it talks about a young man and his pathway in self-development and growth and maturity into a man. And I don't want to ruin the story. I 10 out of 10 recommend going and listening or reading it. There's workbooks that go along with it, and it's super great for young guys who are trying to figure out their path and anyone who is still in the maturity process. So everyone, but especially young men. This book got me thinking because, man, there are so many areas that I have thought I have it together in when it comes to maturity, but I have a long ways to go, and I've been prideful about that in the past. And I was talking with my brother earlier, and I gave him some really good advice, and I said, yeah, I know that was great advice, and then I stopped myself and said, man, I apologize for that. That was prideful. I'm still learning a lot. And there's just like some layers being peeled back that I'm now becoming self-aware of, right? Of not tons of pride and like tons of arrogance, but enough so that it's ugly, and enough so that it's like obvious that to me, and now I want to get rid of it. So it's just fascinating because I'm in this self-development journey. You are too. If you're watching this, you're probably trying to glean different pieces of wisdom or at least relate. And it's really easy when you start making some progress to kind of let your ego start to get stroked. But I'm realizing more and more how important it is for us as men, and people in general, but especially men, to let our egos die. I know ego death is something talked about in like Eastern mysticism, and I'm not going to go into that in this video, but it's so important for us to lay down our pride and to not look to reinforce who we are with what we do or what we earn or what we say or whatever. Like, those things are important, don't get me wrong, but if we don't derive our value and our worth from being made by our creator and him saying that we are valuable, then nothing, first off, will ever fulfill that like sense of value. But then even more so, we'll spend all of our time trying to find different things, different words, to like fulfill that, to fill that void. So I've just been challenged to kind of take a step back and like take a hard look at myself and be like, man, where are areas that I could be better in? You know, as I'm reading this book and listening to this story of this young man, how he matures, and as soon as he levels up to one level, there's like another level of maturity, and then another level and another level. I'm thinking to myself, how can I embrace whatever level of maturity I'm being called to step into? Funny enough, as I was thinking about this, my employer for landscaping, he pulled me aside at the end of the day. He was paying me my money. He pays me cash, and he's like, Hudson, I hope you know that on this team, your role isn't just to do XYZ with the landscaping. Your role is a spiritual leader. It's like, we have this young guy who's in college and he's helping out during the summer, and then my boss's son, who is actually working for him, and he just got out of prison, got his whole slate cleaned, like no record, really having a fresh start. He has a wife and kids, and super genuine dude. I actually spoke with him the other day, and we got to have a great conversation, and he's really teachable. I was sharing some stuff and he was just receiving it, and I was really hit as my employer spoke this to me, because I realized that I had not been taking advantage of this opportunity. My employer knows my passion is to disciple and mentor young guys, and yet here I am, not dialed in while I'm on the job to like take advantage of really hours and hours and hours spent with these young men. I'm listening to an audiobook, or I'm thinking about something else. And I was convicted in that moment. So just some different layers of maturity that God is calling me out of and up to a new level. And I appreciate that. That's why I follow the Lord, and that's why I'm on this journey, so he can continue to grow me. And I hope he's continuing to grow you as you allow yourself to be challenged. Speaking of which, my challenge for you today is to kind of take a hard look at yourself and ask yourself, what are areas of maturity that you've maybe grown comfortable in, and what is the next layer of maturity that God's calling you to? Maybe it's something you're afraid of or avoiding, but like, take a hard look at that and be honest if that's somewhere you want to go, because that's where the next revelation of God is, and that's where the next iteration of you becoming your best self is. So that's my challenge for you today. I'll leave it at that. Peace.